Hi everyone. Today you will hear a story about a difficult family situation and the consequences of betrayal. Enjoy watching. I returned home on a Friday evening, looking forward to spending time with my wife after a challenging week on the flight line. With our 3 kids now grown and mostly independent after 22 years of marriage, I thought we could enjoy a pleasant night out together. My name is David Collins, a mild-mannered A&P mechanic and crew chief of arrivals and departures on the day shift for United Airlines, finally enjoying a better schedule after 25 years of working the graveyard shifts. My wife, Judith Collins, was the charge nurse at Central Hospital, overseeing labor and delivery on the day shift. Both of us were earning good money, with me slightly more due to my union position, but we were comfortably upper middle class. I parked my pickup in the garage and closed the door, ready for whatever the evening had in store, whether it was a night out in her Lincoln Navigator or a country/western outing in my F-250. Ultimately, it was my wife's choice, as it always seemed to be. But I didn't mind. As long as she was happy, I was content. Entering the kitchen from the garage, I sifted through the mail on the table. Suddenly, I heard a noise upstairs, followed by the soft patter of little feet descending the steps. My attractive 42-year-old wife appeared in the living room, clad in a robe that never failed to excite me when she wore it. "Oh," she exclaimed. "You're home early." I wasn't expecting you for another hour or so." Checking my watch, I realized I was indeed early, but not significantly so. "What's going on? Where are we headed?" I asked, curious about the change in plans. "Well, I'm going out." "I'm not sure what you're doing," she replied, her eyes flickering to the overnight bag near the couch. My weekend plans suddenly took a nosedive. "What do you mean, you're going out? And with whom?" I demanded, feeling a surge of disbelief. Her gaze shifted back to me as she mentioned William Strathmore. "I have a date with William Strathmore. It's for the weekend. I'll be back Sunday night, and we can discuss it then." My mind raced with shock. What did she just say? I thought, struggling to process the unexpected revelation. "I need to finish getting ready," she announced, hurrying upstairs before I could respond, the door slamming shut behind her. "Fuck," I muttered under my breath, feeling a mix of anger and confusion. Realizing I needed support, I quickly dialed my daughter's number on my cell phone, hoping to avoid any misunderstandings. "Hi, Dad." "What's going on?" she answered, sounding cheerful. I grabbed my wife's purse and emptied its contents onto the coffee table. "I need you to come over right away. Your mother hit her head, and she needs us." "I have to leave," I explained urgently. "Daddy? Dad?" I heard as I ended the call. Next, I called my eldest son and delivered the same urgent message, adding, "Call your brother and tell him to get here, quick." "Dad, what the fuck?" he exclaimed before I hung up. Then I speed dialed Judith's parents and relayed the same request. There was equal confusion on their end, accompanied by some shouting, before I disconnected the call. As Judith's purse spilled its contents onto the table, credit cards, keys, a 12-pack of Trojan condoms, despite my vasectomy, and a confirmation email from the Marriott Hotel in Kenilworth for rooms 703 to 710, I thought, the hell you will. William Strathmore, a pediatric surgeon at her workplace, was someone I had met at hospital Christmas parties over the past 5 years. To put it lightly, the man was slimy. And that was the best description I could muster. His drop-dead gorgeous wife seemed fed up with him, from what I gathered. I confiscated Judith's credit cards and car keys, then pocketed the confirmation email. Just in case. Next, I unlocked her cell phone using our anniversary date and the number 3, our children's birth order, as the security code, HAH. With Judith still occupied upstairs, I retrieved the emergency call list from her workplace and looked up Dr. Strathmore's contact information. His cell phone wouldn't be of much use, but his home phone might provide some answers. I dialed the number, and after 2 rings, someone answered. "OH, honey, I've been waiting for your call. But I don't recognize this number." "Is everything okay?" the voice on the other end said. "Is this Mrs. Strathmore?" I asked. "Yes, it is. Who's calling, please? This is David Collins. My wife works with your husband at the hospital. I don't know if you remember me. Oh, Dave, yes, I remember you. My husband and I were just talking about you and your wife the other night. I was expecting a call from William when you rang. What's going on? So your husband isn't home? I inquired. No, he's in Boston for a surgical conference. Why do you ask? Is everything all right? Look, Mrs. Strathmore, I hate to say this, but I don't think everything is all right. I just had a confrontation with my wife, and she told me she's heading out for a weekend at the Marriott in Kenilworth, coming back Sunday night. What? What are you saying? Mrs. Strathmore exclaimed. I believe we're both being lied to. I have an email confirmation for the rental of 7 adjoining rooms on the 7th floor from today through Monday. I've saved your number, Mr. Collins. Let me get back to you. Fed up with the situation, I located the head of HR at the hospital, Corinne Adams, on the emergency call list. I knew her well. She and Judith were good friends. Her husband was a police detective sergeant. I dialed her cell, and she picked up almost immediately. Hello? Who's calling? A startled voice answered. Corinne, this is David Collins, Judith's husband, I replied, hearing a muttered expletive on the other end. Yes, Dave, what's the matter? Corinne sounded flustered. I believe there's something inappropriate happening between Dr. Strathmore and my wife, and I need it investigated and put to an end. I'm sorry, Dave, I can't discuss this right now. I have to go, she said abruptly before ending the call. That was strange. Almost immediately, Judith's cell phone rang. After 3 rings, I answered it, my stomach twisting with anxiety. Without giving me a chance to speak, the caller launched into a panicked tirade. Judith, he knows. He knows everything. What did you tell him? I interrupted, not everything, Corinne. But I'm getting there. The sharp intake of breath on the other end was telling. Goodbye, I said firmly before ending the call. Then I quickly searched for Corinne's home phone number and dialed it. After 4 rings, a man answered. I'm not interested in upgrading my cable service, he said. Jerry, it's been a rough day for you, I remarked. Who's this? He asked. Dave Collins, Judith's husband. Ah, what's up, Dave? Is Corinne there? I inquired. Nah, I'm babysitting this weekend. She's at a team-building event sponsored by the hospital in Philly. Why do you ask? I took a deep breath and proceeded to share everything I had discovered and suspected. I suspect there might be more than just the 3 of them involved, I added. There was a pause on the other end. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Jerry asked. I'm not sure what I'm thinking. But one thing's certain, she's not leaving here tonight, even if it means I end up in jail. I'll get back to you if I find out anything. Don't do anything stupid. Jerry's tone was serious, his background as a cop evident. Just then, Judith descended the stairs, dressed provocatively in a red silk dress. She noticed her scattered belongings on the table. What's going on? Why did you dump out my bag? She protested, starting to gather her things. Oh no, you're not going anywhere, I snapped. Sit down and shut up. You can't control me. I can do whatever I want, she retorted. Is that so? Well, so can I. Watch this, I declared, reaching for the neckline of her dress and tearing it down. In an instant, she stood there practically naked, clad only in her open-cup bra, lace garter belt, and stockings. My dress, she screamed. And oh, it's not your dress, I countered. I bought it for our 25th anniversary, along with most of the lingerie you're almost wearing. If you're going anywhere tonight, it won't be in that dress. My phone rang, and I answered, Hello? Dave Collins? This is Mary Strathmore. I'm sorry to say, but you were right. I reported the car stolen to the police. I had bought it for him, and it's registered in my name. They pulled him over about 5 minutes ago. He insisted he was my husband and had the right to drive the car. She chuckled through her strained voice. They called me from the traffic stop and told me what he said. That he was my husband. I could hear him in the background when I told the cops it was impossible. My husband was in Boston. The jerk gasped and said he wanted a lawyer. I have to go fix this mess. He's been arrested, and the car is impounded. Tell your wife I'm coming for her next. We had been on speakerphone, and as soon as I realized who it was, Judith gasped and screamed, "What did you do, David? Damn you!" At that moment, my children barged in through the front door. Dad, what's going on? Mom, are you okay? Dave Jr., my eldest son, exclaimed, rushing to his mother's side. My daughter Haley joined him, concerned. Are you okay, Mom? What happened to your dress? She asked. Your father ripped it. Judith exclaimed, her eyes accusingly fixed on me. All eyes turned to me, filled with anger. I refused to be intimidated. Michael, my second son, shut the front door firmly. What's happening, Mom? What did you do? Tell them why, Judith. Go ahead. Why do you have a 12-pack of condoms in your purse? Planning to make water balloons or something? I asked pointedly. I don't know where they came from. They're not mine, Judith muttered almost inaudibly. And where were you off to? A weekend of debauchery without your husband. Is that what you had in mind? I pressed. I can do what I want. It's my body. Judith exclaimed, then realized her mistake, her voice lowering. Well, I can. Young Dave rolled his eyes and headed to the kitchen for a drink. He returned a few minutes later with an envelope. Here, Dad. It's addressed to you, he said, casting a disdainful look at his mother. Judith shrieked and leaped off the couch, her torn dress falling to the floor. Don't read that, she yelled, while Haley rushed to her aid. Shut up, Judith, and sit down, I commanded. I opened the envelope and read aloud, My darling husband, my sister needs some help caring for Mother. I'll be with them this weekend and will be home on Monday evening. Kisses and hugs, Judith. The children exchanged bewildered glances, unsure of what to make of the situation. I realized Judith had penned the note before our confrontation, and her confusion and panic were apparent. Just then, as if the universe were watching a dramatic spectacle unfold, the doorbell chimed. Before Michael, my second son, could reach it, Judith's parents burst in. Judith, are you okay? Her mother fretted, while her father bellowed, What's happening here? Judith promptly passed out. Hello, Mom and Dad. Welcome to the chaos. Your daughter just destroyed our marriage and likely jeopardized her life and career, I seethed. Her mother and my daughter rushed to revive Judith, while her father simmered with anger. I briefed them on the events, and the atmosphere grew colder by the minute. Just as Judith regained consciousness and looked around in distress, her mother demanded to know what was going on. Help? You want help? How about we call your sister, the one you were supposed to assist with your mother? Maybe she can return the favor, I suggested, handing her father the note and dialing her sister's number. As he read the note, the phone rang. Hello? Is this David? Mavis, her sister, inquired. Yes, Mavis. How's everything? How's Mom? I asked urgently. Oh, she's fine. Judith has been a great help. I don't know what I'd do without her, Mavis replied. May I speak to her, please? I requested. Well, she's busy at the moment. Can she call you back later? Mavis proposed hesitantly. Her mother grabbed the phone and snapped, That won't be necessary, you spineless fool. Mom, her sister shrieked in shock. Judith broke down once more, collapsing to the floor and exposing herself almost entirely in front of her family. Don't bother checking on my health again, Mavis, she yelled before ending the call, leaving her sister's strangled screams behind. Just then, my phone rang again. Hello? I answered. David? It's Jerry. He sounded as drained as I felt. You were right. We got a search warrant for the 7 rooms at the Marriott. Based on the missing persons warrant I had sworn out, we raided them and found 12 other individuals, including my wife. 3 male doctors, 4 female doctors, 4 female nurses, and 1 other female H/or team member. And my wife. I'm sorry, Dave. Truly sorry. So am I, Jerry. But it is what it is. Thank you, I replied solemnly. Turning to my soon-to-be ex-wife, I ordered, go upstairs, put on some decent clothes, and leave my house. She struggled to stand and pleaded, please don't abandon me like this. Oh, like you abandoned our marriage with your "it's my body, I'll do what I want" attitude? I was tempted beyond belief. I could have pursued the waitress at our coffee spot after the night shift. I could have pursued the woman at the Lincoln dealership where we bought the car. Hell, even your sister made advances. But I loved you, and this is how you repay me. Get out of my life, I retorted bitterly. She broke down completely, fleeing upstairs and losing a high-heeled shoe in her haste, leaving a heavy silence in the room. My daughter spoke up, I'll go upstairs and make sure she doesn't do anything reckless, Dad. Otherwise, I won't have the chance to be disappointed with her for the rest of my life. About 30 minutes later, she returned downstairs with a suitcase, dressed in jeans and a sweatshirt, looking disheveled. My eldest son intercepted her on her way out. Don't worry, Mother. Adrian and I will plan the wedding so it won't interfere with one of your escapades. Not that you'll be invited. Maybe Dad can bring a new girlfriend. Adrian was Dave's serious girlfriend, a fact we hadn't fully grasped until now. Judith paused at the front door, overwhelmed with emotion. Her mother guided her outside, while her father turned to me. Is there any way past this? She clearly needs help, but it doesn't seem like anything actually happened, he said. She can discuss it with my lawyer, I replied. Remember, son, she loves you, he reminded me. I met his gaze squarely. Funny way of showing it. The irony was that they all spouted the same excuses, consenting adults, not doing anything wrong, until they were caught. It turned out the doctor had used a company credit card to fund the party, covering the room rentals, booze, and food. The hospital initially tried to avoid the scandal, but when it emerged that 8 of the participants were supposed to be working or at a bogus hospital event, several marriages fell apart. This wasn't the first party, but it would certainly be the last. I filed for divorce, but I'm just a humble aircraft mechanic, remember? And I loved her, more than my luggage, as the movie line goes. So I let the process drag on while she attended counseling. My children supported me through it all, appreciating that I was at least trying. But the pain was profound, and the betrayal blindsided me. United Airlines was understanding, granting me extended medical leave. She lost her job, along with everyone else involved. The doctor was dismissed, then faced legal action. Corinne lost her job, too, along with her subordinate. The nursing shortage worsened, and vacancies opened up for several doctor positions. My wife was the final addition to the sex club, as they were seeking new members. She had been on their radar for a while, and Corinne convinced her, saying she deserved it, it would be enjoyable, I wouldn't find out, and many husbands enjoyed their wives being with other men. It took 6 months, but they eventually persuaded her. Epilogue. It took over a year, but I loved her and couldn't imagine life without her. It boiled down to the classic question, would life be better with her or without her? I monitored her closely, bombarding her with questions about our relationship. I listened intently to everything she said, which eventually drove her crazy. However, with the support of her therapist, parents, and our children, she knew I was making a significant effort. And she genuinely loved me. I believed her, God knows why. I sued both the hospital and Dr. Strathmore. I had to wait behind his wife's divorce proceedings, but I was ahead of other plaintiffs. Between us, we managed to strip him of his assets. I divided my settlement equally among the other affected spouses. The hospital didn't fare well either. My children and I settled out of court for a substantial sum, while the other plaintiffs received generous reparations. My sister-in-law was ostracized by everyone. I'm not sure if her parents have reconciled with her yet. I consider myself fortunate for the outcome and for maintaining my composure throughout the ordeal, thanks to the unwavering support of my kids and friends. While I never thought I took my marriage for granted, I certainly won't anymore. It took over a year, but we've managed to rebuild our relationship, and the sex is incredible. Occasionally, she cries tears of postcoital joy and apologizes for the pain she caused, but things are improving. And as I've said, I love her. But don't mistake my forgiveness for weakness. About 8 months into the chaos, I confronted the doctor as he left the gym. I beat him severely, breaking 3 fingers and injuring one of his testicles. He no longer resembles his former self. Fortunately, I had a police officer with me at the time. Life moves on. I reminded him that he should have pursued an honest profession. Perhaps then he could have put up a better fight. Yes, I know, it's not the most dignified approach. Tough luck. Don't mess with my wife, and I'll maintain my mild-mannered demeanor. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel not to miss new videos.